So hi, thanks for everybody for joining.
Yeah, so let me give an
Yeah, go
introduction.
ahead, Prashant. Go ahead and introduce us.
Yeah. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Prashant Ajmera. I'm based in Ahmedabad, India. I'm a lawyer by profession and involved in the practice of the cross-border mobilities, global mobilities and cross-border law since last 33 years. And the reason we are doing this series is because there is a tremendous interest, particularly from in India, to going global. So it could be an individual HNIs who wants to go abroad, or it could be a business expansion. People are looking at it. So people are looking at from India going global. And that's why we thought that it would be a good idea to bring certain very important jurisdictions around the world where people can get an informations and basic idea about how this works and why those jurisdictions or countries are very important in the global wealth management. And I've known Huan for a long time. He's based in Singapore. Very knowledgeable person when it comes to the Singapore financial industry, how to structure, how to bring your assets, protect it, and become a global citizens and do a very creative way of financial planning, tax plannings, and protect your assets. Not only that, but move on that asset to the next generations, which is the most important aspect of the making an asset is good, but growing is a second aspect, and the third aspect is passing on to the next generations. So that's how we have why we have here Juan from Singapore. Juan, go ahead, please.
So thanks for joining. We'll try to make this probably a little bit more interactive if you don't mind.
Sure.
But I run Kimbocorp and I create holding companies here under the company. So we, in essence, create any type of businesses such as active buy sell, investment holding, SPVs, even crypto holding, some family offices here and there, some regulated businesses like funds. So, I go around trying to speak to people, like all of you here about the efficiencies that Singapore has, comparing inefficiencies to local jurisdictions. So, many of the inefficiencies can be sort of mentioned here in probably this slide, right? So many countries around the world would have be less efficient when it comes to corporate tax point. Singapore corporate taxes are still very low. These days, our headline tax rate is only about 8.5%, while for younger companies can be as low as 4 or 5%. So, and then we don't really have a lot of the upfront type of taxes. So, GST, VAT, any withholding and things like that. We do, but the threshold is actually a lot more higher than many of the countries around us. So, for example, GST in Singapore starts from a threshold about Singapore dollar 1 million in revenue or so before you even start considering whether to implement GST in your organization. While for many countries around us, its threshold is much, much lower than that. So certainly at the beginning, a lot of these kinds of things, and also one example is on audit side, right? So Singapore audit requirements only start from about asset value of about Singapore dollar 10 million and upwards. Again, that is also a consideration. It's not a real mandatory, it's not a real per se that you will be audited. If you hit 10 million, there's certain other requirements on there that we need to be fulfilled as well. But otherwise, what we can say in general is that threshold is much higher. So this also means that, a lot of incoming and outgoing can usually be done in net, right? So, and that creates a lot of efficiency. If you can receive net, pay out net, convert money also usually at net because Singapore is one big money changing hub, bank to bank or, changing from currency to currency is usually done near spot. Spreads here, you know, are really, really low. There's no complaining about spreads. While I hear the spreads in other countries like Sri Lanka, Maldives, and can be as high as double digit percentage figures. That is huge, you know. So add on to a lot of the quantitative benefits, qualitative benefits that you can have, such as very safe jurisdiction, very clear adherence to global standards, right? And uh, very efficient functioning boards, minority shareholding protection, a lot of arbitration, ways, to get access, a lot of enforcement, often ways to get enforcement if certain things like fraud and all that exists. You're looking at a peace of mind jurisdiction for any wealth retaining or wealth accumulation strategies. Right? Um, Also, another place whereby Singapore is quite unique is that we can be in a position that you don't have to jump around agency to agency or provider to provider to get stuff done. Right? So, say for example, us, we do everything in-house, right? There's really no need to go and find a lawyer to do this, or find an accountant to do that, or find another consultant to do this, or find another agency to do that. So we typically, you know, would call it the whole holistic service when it comes to creating businesses. And that is what we pride ourselves on, right? So we pride ourselves on creating the entire business from scratch, right? So anybody with an ambition or if inefficiency that they want to resolve, and everybody has a different ambition or different inefficiency that they want to resolve, we typically can sort of fulfill or resolve that from a Singapore entity. So we like to call it that the Singapore entity is usually the end game, right? It's inevitable, that something will be created here for you, especially if you run global businesses or if you want to retain large amounts of wealth safely. This is the place. There's no place like it, you know? So that is a pure, sort of introduction, Prashant.
Right. So basically, as you said, let me ask you a few questions just to make it simple and my understandings and probably otherwise might have it. So holding company where I'm having it, say, give you an example or take an example that I'm a businessman in India and I have a manufacturing unit in India and I want to create a holding company in Singapore. How does it work? I have a private
Um,
company in India.
you'll start off creating another new business, in its entirety. So if you're already running a business back home, then you do a similar business by creating a new one here in Singapore, right? It can be a similar name or it can be a totally different name,
Right.
but that separate entity would now belong to you, right? You know, so it will belong to you 100%, and then it will
Mhm.
come with all your banking facilities and so on. Now for you to start doing the same business as what you're doing in India. Okay. So here in this case, if you to realize efficiencies as mentioned here on this page, you need to
Mhm.
firstly bring in the money, such as revenues or capital. So for example, if you're already running a, 1 million revenue business in India and your clients are usually located outside of India. So you bill out to the US, bill out to the States, bill out to UK, Europe, etc.
Mhm.
Instead of doing that, building out from India, now you're going to be building out from Singapore, right? You're going to
Right.
be issuing invoices from here, transferring some contracts into the Singapore side, you know. Now you're going to be sending that, to wherever the client is. So when you receive the money in Singapore, then you want to now pay suppliers. You can either send some of it back to your Indian entity, or you
Mhm.
can send, some of it back directly to your supplier wherever they are from. Right? Now, when it starts to introducing, saying goods needs to go from this place to that place, goods don't necessarily need to come into Singapore in this aspect. Because
Right.
right now, what you can do is to say, for example, get your Indian entity to notify the supplier that, money has been paid to you, that Now you can start to ship goods from country A in supplier to customer A, you know, wherever they are from, or wherever they are in. The invoice and the bill of lading and so on will contain some notifying parties, such as your Indian company or such as the
Right.
Singapore company. And then from there, banks will see that notifying company is on the Singapore side, one of the notifying company is a Singapore company. So it'll be quite clear, and then they compare that to the invoice that that the supplier is from this country, and then now
Mhm.
you as a Singapore company is paying to the supplier. Banks will understand this kind of transactions, and then they will go about trying to clear it. Right? So that is a typical sort of arrangement.
Yeah. So basically now my invoice is generated by the Singapore companies and they are and ship goods is being shipped from India to Canada or Europe or wherever it is going. So that's the one way of looking at it. See, the another way I see it's the for the wealth management, what people are doing is that I'm holding a various asset class or shares here, and how do I basically have a holding companies or kind of a trust in Singapore whereby my assets are being protected or any those kind of an arrangements. How do I do that one?
So same thing, right? You're going to give birth now to a company in Singapore instead
Mhm.
of now being a trading company. You're giving birth to an investment holding company. So the
Okay.
activity now would, instead of being wholesale trade, it would be a holding activity trade. The actual business activity is called other holding companies, right? So once we understand that this is the business activity, we will then be able to explain to the bank that this is a special purpose vehicle or an investment holding company, belonging to shareholder ABC located
Mhm.
in country A, right? So we'll be able to explain to the bank that this company is created because the assets, we want to keep assets like stocks and shares and property under this company, right? So now if you start to want to use this company to buy stocks and shares, you'll be using the same company to open other accounts,
Okay.
such as a brokerage account, right?
Mhm.
Or Wanda, Interactive Broker, anybody like this, right? To be able to now use those brokerage accounts, you know,
To do the
who would
investment.
be able to provide you the account under the company name. And then
Mhm.
once you go in there, you can start to accumulate stocks and shares, under their platform, but registered under the Singapore company name.
Right. So it gives me basically a more access that my assets are there in Singapore, then currency restrictions and all those things are less. And then if I need to trade on the Singapore stock markets and the other worldwide market, which I may not have available in India, but I can do it in Singapore through this holding company. Am I correct?
Yeah, through this corporate holding company, but via the brokerage accounts of other businesses like Interactive Broker or anybody else. There are many of them.
Right, right, yeah, yeah. So it won't be an individual who is doing the investment, but it will be my holding company who is doing the investment using the interactive brokers or Ameritrades or
That's
those kind
correct.
of platforms, which are licensed platforms, not just platforms for doing the
Yes,
transaction.
yes, of course. Every one of those are here in Singapore. Every one of those, right?
Yeah, I know, but in India we don't have any of those ones. That's
Exactly right.
yeah, but
Exactly right.
because the licensed brokerage platforms are not allowed, and
Yep.
the reason they are not allowed in here in India because when they implemented the law, the share broker says that if you bring this platform to do the transactions, nobody will come to us, and they blocked it basically, and that's
Yeah,
why
that's
we
correct.
have a
That's correct.
it's online platform to do the transactions, but they cannot do that one.
That's correct.
What about the getting any kind of a residencies or a visas? Like if I want to set up a business there and I want to come and do the business actively there, does it work or how does it work?
I mean, there are certain employment type visas that you can get, similar to that US equivalent one, that allows the company to hire you. So
Okay.
that you can do that separately, sponsored by your own company. But
Mhm.
for other more like permanent residency and all that, that is kind of difficult. That is
Yeah,
harder.
no, no.
Yeah.
See, this is I'm looking at it something like if I have a business and if I think that if I can be there, or if
Yeah, so
I need to hire a couple of people from locally and people from, I want to have my own people in the companies. So that is quite possible. Generally that's what people think, that at least I should have one or two key people in that business in Singapore who is from India,
maybe,
or probably
maybe,
from my team that is taking care of this one.
maybe, maybe. Well, having an entity in Singapore does not mean that you need to have a physical office in Singapore. That is not related, you know.
Okay.
Having an entity in Singapore means that you have a registered company in Singapore. You have a banking here. You make decisions here. You can issue invoice. You can do meetings. You can have discussions about signing contracts. You can all do all that. But you can do that anywhere. You can do that through a session like this. So you don't necessarily need to come in to a physical office in Singapore to do any of these kinds of functions.
Okay. So
And that
that
is why,
that's
yeah, we typically don't encourage, especially at the beginning, to have, hire people or set up an office. There's no need. Singapore is expensive, guys.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I know how expensive it is.
Yeah,
So that's very important point which you made, is that virtually you can basically have a Singapore company identity or a holding company, and then you said that you have a presence in Singapore, and as your business grow, then only you think about having an office there, and basically set up a physical office if you really need to do it.
that's right. And the tax department here will not think any less of it because you're using the company rightly so to issue invoice, sign contracts, and so on. They're
Mhm.
not going to think anything less of it. They're
Right.
still going to regard you as a proper tax resident, give you all your benefits that you are going to get, and so on.
So that's basically a big difference with compared to the UAE company, whereby if you're holding an UAE companies, then you get your visa, and then every 6 months you have to go there, even if it's a virtual office, and all those requirement is there. Whereas in Singapore, you said that you don't need to do that one, you don't need to hold a visas, and still you can continue doing the business.
No, no, no.
So
So
the
yeah, and this is again because Singapore is so white about all these kinds of laws. Kind of law falls under the OECD guidelines of what you would term as called a permanent establishment. And Singapore is not even an OECD member, but they still want to be abiding by OECD guidelines. So what does that mean? This means that, if under OECD guidelines, if you're a permanent establishment, this means that you as a permanent establishment can be regarded as a tax resident of whichever country you are. Right? So here, if you are going to be regarded as a tax resident of Singapore, under the OECD guidelines to be a permanent establishment, you need to treat this place properly as a place of management and sign contracts, issue invoice, and do things like hold meetings and all this kind of thing. And that is what we tell everybody that we are going to be doing with you, right? We will hold at least one meeting a year. You know, we would, want you to send invoice and push you to issue contracts and all this kind of thing. Use it, you have it, use it. So that is why, this all kinds of initiatives aligns together with your
Ah,
ultimate initiative of wanting to bring in more and keep more. We are all in the same boat. you know.
right. You mentioned in one of your slides that within the 3 years, the companies, 50% of the companies get wind up or closed down. What is the reason? They don't have a planning, or they don't know what to do, or they don't know how to expand the business. What's the reason? And how do you help them?
This is This is hard, Prashant. If it's so easy, everybody will do it. So, in theoretically or even, and for not just for us actually, for pretty much everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Have I lost you, Prashant?
I don't see you. I
Are you
see
still there?
your,
Because my screen froze.
yeah, I see only your shadow. I don't see your face.
I see. I think my screen
Yeah,
froze.
okay, now it's
Okay.
better.
Oh,
Yeah, I can see.
all right. So what I'm saying is that, businesses is hard in general, so most of the businesses, if not 50%, actually don't make it past like, 2, 3 years. The next, like, 30, 40% usually don't make it past the next like 5 years or so. And that's quite clear for everybody, not just for Singapore. Many, many various factors, right? Loss of interest, no clear planning and not needed, things like this, you can't, not sustainable, all these kinds of different reasons that you can get. But, that doesn't still remove the fact that Singapore is the best platform for you if you want to do this properly.
Mhm.
Because, if you don't even if you do treat it as a dormant business, right? Don't do anything with it. You can still be around for very little cost, right? Just keep it. And we have many companies that keep it, don't do nothing, right? So Singapore is one of the easiest places to do that, the dormant business, because costs are
Mhm.
not actually very high. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
The cost is good. So generally, you mentioned also that you provide all the help and services, like your company is one-stop solutions. So apart from incorporating a company, what other services or help do you provide to the new entrepreneurs who wish to come to Singapore?
Uh, Firstly, we don't want the entrepreneurs to come to Singapore. We
No,
want
no,
their
no,
entities to be here.
no, the
All
only
right.
company. What I
Yeah.
mean is company. Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
I know.
So that's and I will guess I will try to keep saying that if you don't mind. But basically, if we typically go around and try to speak to uh different people about understanding what their ambitions or inefficiencies are, and then propose them a commercial structure that allows them to fulfill the ambition or inefficiency. We can even go as far as trying to propose to them certain milestones to help them to reduce some operational risk. For example, if you're a trading business and you already have existing clients because you've been doing this for so long,
Mhm.
then we can build you that business in Singapore complete with banking. We will simply ask you to pay a small option fee, right? So that we can, be clear that, you are going to be buying into this business. But otherwise, once that small option fee is done, we'll just go ahead and build it. It will take no time, 1 week, 2 week,
Mhm.
for you to get access to banking and etc. under that company. Now that you start to bring the company and bring in the revenues and capital, and then we can then exercise that option. Exercise the option meaning that you now take this company over entirely, right? So this kind of strategy allows them to be clear that their business is going to be up and running.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. So basically, you do a lot of hand holding with them to, without visiting them, then you are taking care of the certain aspects of their companies to take from
We
A.
have to. We're not doing it as a service, Prashant. The reason why we are not doing it as a service is because together we are in them. That means we are together with them.
Right.
We are also there as a director. We are doing this together. We are giving birth to a child together. We will together try to make this child survive. That is what we are doing. It is not a service.
So creating a company is a challenge. That was very nicely you put it.
Yeah.
That creating a company is for all your interest and also for your client's interest. You have to work together. This is we talk about the companies and assets. Generally, when people come, I know that some of the wealthy family from India and all over the world they have come and set up a family office there. How does that work? They become very popular. It becomes the headlines in our financial newspaper here. They do the similar structure, or how does the family office is set up in Singapore?
It's no different to a private limited.
Okay.
Yep. Same thing happens, same thing with an investment holding company or SPV. The family office will be the same thing. Only difference is that the ownership now is owned by like two people in the family or something. And then, they will probably set this aside because they want to leave this for their descendants or their dependents.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
that is the only difference. Otherwise, everything else related to investment holding on SPV is the same as a family office.
So special purpose vehicles and same. So and also the holding companies becomes also part of the trust as well. So those kind of things.
A trust is a separate, different arrangement that we can administer.
Okay.
So a trust means that Shareholder is not the shareholder.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, the beneficiary is not the shareholder.
Yeah.
Shareholder is somebody else, but the beneficiary is a real owner of this particular company. And typically that is administered by a private trust company or will by a trust agreement. We note identify who is the trustee and who's the settler and who's the beneficiaries are first at the beginning, or
Mm-hmm.
pretty much at any time, to be quite honest, and
Mm-hmm.
then administer that particular company to be sure that, uh, if there's any misunderstanding,
Mm-hmm.
this structure that we have created before already will stand up in court. So the paper is going to be there, and communication is going to be there just to ensure that, everybody's clear. There'll be signatures that we will be getting from everybody else, and then be able to just maintain and keep it. We will then also be able to announce to the regulators here that this is what it is, trustee, beneficiary, and so on, so that everybody is clear.
Right. Okay.
Mm.
Well, sounds good. Great. I think let me just open the floor for the others to have a questions or a comment. Any one of you are more than welcome to do that. Please go ahead. Any of the presenters are attending for the first time. Probably, if you have any questions, particularly for your clients or for yourself, go ahead and ask questions. No. Well, there's no question for me, but I like, yes, Shrikant Panchala, please go ahead.
Yeah, Prashant sir. Hi sir. How are you?
I'm good, good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good sir. And Huan, how are you sir?
Very well, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too sir. Sir, my name is Srikant Panchala and I'm working in Kaviti International Law Firm. Uh, I'm head of operations in Vijayawada, particularly. I have a question sir. Uh, if I want to get if one of my client want to get permanent resident visa, what will be the investment that he has to put in Singapore?
It's about 50 million.
50 million Singapore dollars.
That's good.
What if his entire family consists of four member, he, his wife, and two children? What will be the cost for that?
No, the application for the permanent resident for the immediate family is about 50 million. He needs to put it in.
Additional 50 million.
No, the initial application for the
Okay,
family is 50 million.
okay,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
Then the amount would be 50 million. Are we providing any business opportunities or guidance there so that they can be comfortably establish their business and get their permanent residence? Are we assisting in such a way?
Like what?
If I have a client who is having an investment of, who is able to make an investment of 100 million Singapore dollars or something like that, and if he wants to have a Singapore citizenship, uh, he, he is running the business in India, particularly, are we providing any investment plans or investment suggestions so that his investment will not go in vain if he invests in Singapore?
See, there are
Yes, we
two.
can do we
Yeah,
can
go
do
ahead.
this all in-house. So this means that we need to start off creating the structure.
Yes.
We would then obviously need him to deposit into bank, and then we would appoint internal fund manager under his company
Okay.
for
But his
him to
company.
deploy. Yeah. The reason why it needs to be deployed is because if he wants to get permanent residency, he needs to deploy certain aspects, certain assets, and so on to meet the requirement. So for example, some needs to go to Singapore Stock Exchange, some needs to go to some private company, things like that. There is a strict set of guidance on the PR when you are doing a PR application that you need to deploy these funds and you need to deploy first before you can apply. So that fund manager will be there to administer all this kind of thing, right? So that when that happens, then he can be in a situation now to apply for permanent residency. And then, well, but we don't do permanent residency application. We will just simply outsource to another consultant, right? Who will then be able to take on all this entire thing and be able to make the application. So there's a series of 3, 4, 5 steps before he gets there.
So the way in which it works, Prashant, is basically that the 50 million investment has to go into the financial instruments in Singapore. And
Yes.
for that, you establish a company, you transfer the funds. Once the investment is made into the financial instrument in Singapore, then it is outsourced by Yuan company to our immigration lawyer or immigration advisors in Singapore licensed, who will file petitions or applications with the Singapore government or immigration department to obtain the residency of the family.
I have been to Singapore previously a couple of times, and I have seen most of the real estate ventures over there are completely managed by the government sector. Is that true, Huan, sir?
You mean residential or commercial
Hello.
or what?
Residential or commercial? Most of it's not about commercial. I have been living in a Bayside apartment, which was leased for some 99 years only. That I have spoken with the owner of that flat. He's spoken I got this for lease, not for my eternity. He said something like that.
Yeah, but it's still 99 years. The owner of the flat has it for 99
Yes.
years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
So
it's a very small country, so I know that certain properties or certain assets belongs to the government, and then it is leased out. But yeah, government keeps the ownerships of that one. But you are,
honest,
yeah,
I mean, honestly, very few, to be quite honest.
very, very
Yeah.
few.
Except for like those, town council buildings or ministry of trade buildings, or there are few certain agencies or government or even quasi-government agencies that will own such properties, but they're not in the business of doing this. The
Yeah,
most
exactly.
property in Singapore are actually privately owned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's why the
Yeah.
property prices are going very high, because there is a scarcity of the properties, and the people are coming from all over the world to make an investment into the properties and buying those towers and building those towers and everything. Anyway, thank you, Shrikant. We have a Vicky Ray there. Vicky, go ahead, please. You have a
Uh,
question or comment?
Hi, Prashant, and hi, Huan.
Yes.
My name is Vicky. I am from Kanani International, Vadodara.
Okay.
And actually, my question is that if we coordinate with our client and if he's ready to pay, say, 50 millions and investment, right? So the program is like he's getting a PR with his family. Now, what are the chances of getting the Singapore passport after, say, 4 or 5 years, or is there anything like they will maintain that all the criteria and they are getting the Singapore passport, or they are not getting Singapore passport, they only get a PR only?
Usually they only get PR if they can meet this Singapore passport is a different level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm,
And even the getting a PR is also a tough one
That's
because
correct. It's not easy. But
It's not
there are,
easy.
like
It's
for
not
the
easy.
investment side of it, that is typically a checkbox, so it's more of a checking the box that if you're going to do the 50 million, 100 million route. But if you're not going to do the 50 million, 100 million route, then it is a pure chance. You apply it and then you hope for the best.
Yeah.
And what is the payment mode? Like if somebody has invested his money in, I say Dubai or say US, right? Now, if he want to move from that to Singapore,
It's quite a
Uh,
tough call. It's a quite
yeah,
a tough.
usually it's like a loan, right? They can start off with a loan, right? So loan from company A to company B, and then they can write off the loan later, but it usually start off with a loan.
okay, and yeah, do we as a team can help them to get the loan, or we have to appoint a third party for this?
We're talking about family, right? So this will be their company and their company, no? So they borrow from themselves, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, they will board from themselves. But is there any recommendation that we can give them that you can go with this agent or you can go with this bank and get all the documents done, and then after we can process, or if your loan is been sanctioned from this bank, because there are so many types of
No,
banks, right?
no, it's not the bank loan, as I understand. It is your personal loan which you are taking from within the company. It's the Singapore banks are not giving you a loan to apply for the permanent residency of Singapore.
Okay. Fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? I mean, I know like with the Singapore residency, it used to be very open program, but now the number of the Chinese people coming there and the number of applications they're spending and the size of the countries, they don't need more immigrants to coming there. I mean, it's a closed door. They don't promote at all. They do not want it. And the passport is, as you said rightly, is altogether a different level. It's more difficult than American passport to get it. Yeah, you put 800,000 in the USA, you get your EB-5, and then 5 years you stay in America and you get your passport. Same thing with Canada. You come to Canada, have a little bit of start your small time business, stay there for 3 years, and you get your Canadian passport. So it's very easy to do it in other jurisdictions compared to the particularly Singapore and Hong Kong is. It used to be the case, but forget about it now. Those two financial hubs, no more. Uh, they don't provide. They don't provide. Anything like that. With business, to generally, the last comments I'd like to have it from you. The businesses, those who are coming to Singapore, what kind of businesses are coming to Singapore? Are they trading companies, manufacturing companies, the onlines, IT companies? What is general trend is coming to Singapore? One.
Whatever the hype is. So nowadays, if it's AI, then it's AI. And then there'll be a lot of like advisory and consulting
Okay.
type businesses. Right.
Uh,
Yeah, whatever the hype is. So and the investment holding type will always be popular, right? So because people want to protect their assets more. So that will
uh,
always be there. But you can say in essence is usually the buy and sell type of businesses. Anything that people want that you need to sell and somebody needs to buy.
right. So basically AI is so has like recently any big company moved to Singapore from the AI like one unicorn or something from America or Europe or India or other Asian countries and have set up a
Most of the semiconductor guys are here, right? So
semiconductors guys.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, most of them are here. Many of them actually have a small manufacturing place here and there, but all of them will have some sales and distribution capabilities.
In Singapore. And why
Yeah.
is that? Again, because
Because it's easier to send goods out from here to any part of the world. Tariffs here are lowest.
so they physically set up a manufacturing unit there, or
No, they've set up a sales and distribution unit.
sales and okay. So might be
Manufacturing can
manufacturing,
be somewhere else. Yeah.
right. So from
Yeah.
there, like say, it could be in Philippines, and then from Philippines it's coming to the Singapore, and then the distribution is happens from the Singapore to the uh, around the world.
Yeah. So for example, they manufacture in China. China brings it to Singapore. Singapore sends it to somewhere else.
Right. Okay. And how about the startup? Like AI is on the one side, the startup, any new startup which has might have recently come in the news or set up something in Singapore?
I mean, they will always be there. Most of them are already here, if not already, So I don't try to keep up with the startup space, right? Startups tend to raise money, right? And they see Singapore as a good place to onboard shareholders. Here, I'm trying to, keep more money. So focus is a bit different. Yeah.
Right. So you go with the traditional businesses.
Yeah, I prefer to go for business already with cash flow
Uh-huh.
or already have assets that they want to protect or keep. I don't tend to go for businesses that wants to raise more money.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's the big difference between the going after the startups and going after the traditional business, right?
It's
Uh,
painful. It's
right.
painful.
Yeah.
Mm,
I know. I know. I know.
mm.
So anyway, we already done 45 minutes. Any last comments or anything you want to do? I know you do this sessions on a regular basis on Thursday as well, right? So Thursday, what 2:30 your time, Singapore time? What is the time?
Yeah. 4 o'clock Singapore time, so it'll be 1:30 your time.
Yeah, 4 o'clock Singapore time and 1:30 India time. You do these weekly sessions with the peoples, and you can join the WhatsApp group. Uh, anything. So you want to put it in a chat box, your uh, stop sharing, and then if you want to put it, then people can take care of.
Sure. Okay. I'll just put it in the chat box here, and people, if anybody wants to join, very welcome. We share a lot about, how to join us as an advisor, how to build businesses with other people, some sales tactics, meet other advisors as well in the group. But basically always, some different topics here and there that we try to instill. So yes, happy for you to join us anytime.
Yeah, so the Huan and his company is doing on a weekly basis every Thursday, 1:30 India time, 4 o'clock Singapore time, Zoom meeting where you can join. He has shared the link which is there, and also I'll send it out to the people. And then if you have a client or you are a client and you want to have a questions or you want to do something one-to-one meeting with him, you can reach out to us and then we can do it. We can help you with, or you can directly reach out to Huan and he can help you with. He has tons of knowledge in Singapore, and particularly he's a traditional guy and working with doing a lot of hand holdings. I really liked it, his way of working and doing things, and basically he's helping us out to impart his knowledge and expertise. Generally, people don't do that one, so that's really a great thing what he's doing it. Once again, thank you, Juan, for joining us. And
Thank you. So just quickly I round up, maybe for Sean, we do have the mobile app going around now. So you have all your signups here today, and thanks for coming. You may want to invite them to the app. So what you can do is go to your advisor account and start inviting,
right,
today's
okay,
attendees, for example, or share your link with today's invitees. You can share that your own advisor profile, or invite them to the app. So all those links will be there. You can try to access it. Yeah.
okay, I'll do
Yep.
that from the app.
Thank
I'll do that.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank you
Bye.
very much. Thank you for your time. Great.